Hey, hi everyone. How's it going? I would like to say, hey Sandra, Sally, Dave, Richard. Can you guys hear me yet? Can everybody hear me yet? I don't see myself on the screen yet. Oh, no, don't do that. All right. I thought I had myself all set up here. I do. I see you and hear you. Hey, Richard. So good to see you. And let me see. I see that Dave is here. You know, I had this all set up. I really messed with it so that it was all set up nice and cozy before I started. And then I decided to switch positions a little bit. So anyway, hey, Dana, hi, Talia, Amanda, Sally, good to see you, Richard. Thank you so much for being here. And you got your little moderating wrench on. So thank you so much. And Sandra, hi, Sandra. So good to see everybody. I know it's a holiday weekend, so I had a feeling. Hi, Trisha. Hey, JC, Buffalo Gal from Michigan. And we have, it looks like Ohio. Hi, Dave. And so, yeah, it's a holiday weekend. I'm on Eastern time now, which is so weird. It's 8 o'clock, which is usually like I'm done for the day, you know, so it's kind of, but it's interesting because I'm oriented to West Coast time. I'm all screwed up. But Sandra, good to see you. And how's the smoke up there, Sandra? I've been thinking a lot about you, where you are. Yeah, bedtime, exactly. I know, right? But I'm staying up later because my body's a little off. Everything's a little off. There we go. Yeah, my Starlink is a little obstructed here because trees. So I might be a little, what is that word I'm looking for? That swirling thing, you know, bolstering. What's that word? Buffering. I might be buffering every once in a while. And Steve, hi. Yeah, buffering, thank you. No, I'm in New York. And here it looks like I'm buffering again. So hopefully this won't be too bad. Draggy. I like that word, Richard. Draggy. Draggy's a very good word. Crispy Chris. Hi, Crispy Chris. I like that. Crispy. Hi from New Hampshire. Let's talk about it all. This is where we talk all things politics, social justice. It's funny. I remember people calling me a social justice warrior on my other channel like it was an insult a while ago. I don't know why anybody would think that's an insult. Kind of like woke. Why is woke an insult? But you got a thunderstorm incoming only a few miles away. Ooh, yeah, I've been getting a fair amount of thunder, a lot of smoke. It's very, very, very smoky here the last couple of days in upstate New York. Oh, Tracy, I'm also in upstate New York. Very smoky. Yeah, I know. It's weird for me to be in the East, isn't it? But yeah, gonna be here for a little while. Hi, New Hampshire. Good to see you. And thunderstorm incoming, Sally says. Amanda, badge of honor. I know, exactly, right? Lots of smoke in Michigan. Yeah, that's right. I know. I even have a friend in Indiana, and Minnesota's bad too. Sally's like, maybe not. It just turned sunny. I know, it's kind of the way it is here. Although the smoke, I'm telling you, the weather here has been crazy. It's been cool enough. Well, look, 75 degrees and only 76% humidity. So I think maybe all my trips back east the last few years is changing me because the humidity has not maybe have acclimated a little bit, but it also has been kind of cool. So wow, this is a bummer that my buzzing is really bad. But hopefully we can make do. Donna Duffy, why do these corrupt judges still have jobs? Because they have no oversight. They police one another, and Chief Justice Roberts seems totally fine with allowing all. I mean, my mind is blown right now. I cannot believe this is the United States in 2023. I cannot believe. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted. And you're right. How the hell? I mean, what's it going to take? I mean, here's what I'm hoping. This is what needs to happen. I'm hoping the whole country is so fed up that we get all 3 houses after 24. And I'm hoping maybe that's what Biden is waiting for, to maybe expand the court. We need to make some serious changes. I don't know why impeachment hasn't been started against Roberts. Is there even an investigation going on? I mean, I know like it's supposed to be up to themselves to police one another and to hold themselves accountable. I was laughing about that today, how sad it is that the framers of the Constitution, the founding fathers, while they wrote the Constitution in case we get someone like Trump in office, they built protections in place and checks and balances and things like that. I don't think they ever quite imagined the crookedness, what's the word I'm looking for? The lack of morals and values, and how disgusting and despicable people like Supreme Court justices would be. Or maybe they thought there would be enough checks and balances in place that our checks and balances would prevent someone like Kavanaugh and Roberts and Thomas to be on the Supreme Court to begin with. I don't know. But we need serious changes. I agree that we need term limits. And Alito, oh yeah, freaking Alito. I mean, I know. What did a friend of mine told me today? I didn't know this. She told me that Alito had actually taken money from someone who was against the student loan forgiveness program. I know, right? The checks and balances people are corrupt. The whole thing is, I mean, you want to talk about a disgusting third world country? Who the hell are we? We are definitely not the beacon of democracy right now. And maybe it's just that this has been building over decades of corruption and big business owning politicians, and this is just where it's gotten us, and we're living through the ramifications of years and years and years of corruption. I mean, I just don't get it. Anybody with any sense of history can believe this. I know. It's so funny, and I've said this before in other talks, that, you know, you guys all know what I studied in college, and through studying, I studied a lot of focus on the Cold War, because I did international relations. I actually studied Russia, so a lot of my studies were on the Cold War, and a lot of history of political science, international relations, and countries. And I even said in college back in 1990s, I said every great empire falls. And I even saw then the United States is eventually going to fall. I just never thought it would be in my lifetime. I never thought I would see the end of our democratic principles, institution, and I certainly don't think I thought it would be like this. Nobody really knew what it was going to look like. I guess maybe we all thought war, but I never imagined it would happen so fast, and that it would happen in my lifetime, to see the fall of the American empire. So, Steve, that's interesting. You asked me earlier, we are a police state. For some, apparently not for rich white men. Look at how they're handling Trump. Anybody else would be in prison. Anybody else would be in jail. They didn't even take his passport. The supposed billionaire, they didn't even take his passport. So we're only a police state for some. I guess that's what a police state is, right? That the aristocracy, the people in power, the people with money, the fascists run the police state. And I guess Trump is part of that, since he's a moneyed white male. And the rest of us just suffer from their police state. Yeah, Sandra, never thought it would be in her police state either. We've lost credibility, Talia says. Exactly. It is not of the people. Absolutely not. You know what? And I think honestly, I think it's not been of the people for a very long time. And I think Democrats are as guilty of this as Republicans. We all know, we've all joked about it. Oh, not maybe not joked, but politicians are corrupt. They're all paid off. They're all bought by big business and big money. And I think maybe now that's become so obvious and so apparent, and one party is just saying, okay, screw the Constitution, screw the country, and maybe the other giving the Democrats the benefit of the doubt, and maybe that's not fair because I'm a Democrat, but I think maybe the Democrats are realizing how much trouble we are in and maybe trying to pull us out of it. I don't know. I think that's wishful thinking in a lot of ways, but it is all about greed and all about money. Which is why Trump loves them so much. Absolutely, Amanda. Poorly educated people are so much easier to control. And I'm gonna poorly educated and some of the most extreme religious people. And I say some because there are a couple people here who I know are very big believers. I have people in my own personal life who are believers, who are still critical thinkers, who still have the ability to think and question and reason. But I think the most extreme of the religious are also, and I'm talking about the extreme right-wing people right now who are anti-LGBTQ, the Supreme Court decision today. So, we'll get to that in a minute, but I think there are a lot of people in that group as well. Not everybody for sure. Like I've said, I know some extremely intelligent, critical thinking, religious people, but there are definitely the extremists who do not have those critical thinking skills, and they too are very easy to control. And there is a reason why the reddest states have the worst education, the most poorly educated population. Like you said, they are easier to control. And why not? Let's just burn books. Let's just ban books. Let's stop teaching accurate history. Because when we don't teach accurate history, I think that's part of what makes so many of us here so strong in our beliefs and our opinions and our fear, is that we do have a grasp of history and context. We recognize the signs of a sliding democracy because we've studied it. We know it. The people who aren't educated in history and don't bother to educate themselves don't recognize the signs. We see the signs. We know the danger that we're in. And it's not from trans people. It's not from it's late for me. I'm having trouble coming up with words. Drag queens, that's not the danger. A lot of people on the right think that the danger this country is in is because of trans kids, of trans women playing sports, of pride parades, of drag queens reading to kids. They think that's what's making our country turn to shit. That's sad. That is very sad. That is not what is causing this country to crumble. What's causing this country to crumble are those people consuming that fear-mongering, lying bullshit so that they can allow the people they're voting into power to stay in power and to keep power and to keep stripping rights away. I know, climate change. I was just watching something about Valley Fever. I'm going to share it on social media soon. What's that show? The Last of Us? That was based on the video game, that great TV show. I just watched a Valley Fever video that reminded me of The Last of Us. I was like, oh shit. So The Last of Us is Valley Fever. The fungus in The Last of Us, I know it's science fiction, but yeah. Sarah. Hi, Sarah. The fascist movement needs a scapegoat. Absolutely. Exactly. And see, the uneducated don't realize. And it's sad. And in fact, the uneducated are, oh my God, who was it? Roseanne the other day said that 6 million Jews weren't really killed in the Holocaust, but anyway, they should have been killed anyway. Who the fuck are we? That people are saying this shit and say Yep. Sandra, I told her she looked like Liz Cheney and she never heard of Liz Cheney. Oh, I know who that is. Hi, Sarah. Cult 45. Yep. Cult 45. That's good. Yeah. Because wasn't there a beer, Colt 45 or something? Donna, yeah, I do agree with that. Donna says one's working so hard for the country and the other one is just trying to rip us apart. I was thinking about that today, and I've seen the memes all over Twitter and social media. But if you really think about it, how crazy it is that Biden has been working so hard to give middle class Americans more money in their pockets through student loan relief, through the infrastructure programs, which is creating jobs and more. He's created more manufacturing jobs than any president in the last 40 years or something like that. I read recently. Don't quote me on that number, but what else has Biden done? The economy is doing well. Unemployment is at its lowest rate in decades. All these things that he's doing literally to help the middle class, and people are calling him the enemy. He's ruining America. What did Trump's administration do? They gave tax cuts to the richest people and raised the national deficit, billions of dollars or trillions of dollars. And they are brainwashed enough to think that Biden is the one who is ruining this country, when all he's doing is trying to put more money in the pockets, in the bank accounts of working class. We're like in backwards land, upside down world. I think Biden, I agree. If you really look at the statistics, Biden and Harris are doing an amazing job. An amazing job. Internet access. That's right. He's trying to give everybody internet access. Isn't that part of the infrastructure bill? Internet access creates access to information and jobs and opportunities and education. So, yes. Colt 45 malt liquor. That's right. That's right. I thought it was malt liquor. Oh my God. And what was the other one? Rose? What was the rose one? We're aging ourselves. Wasn't there a rose malt liquor? Who else is as old as me? What was the other malt liquor when we were teenagers? Anyway, from my drinking days, that's right. Yeah, no, maybe I'm thinking no, not Rosie O'Grady. I can't remember what I'm thinking. It was a wine. Mad Dog 2020. That's where I got that. Schlitz. Carol? Yay. Hi, Paige. Good to see you. Old English, that's another one. But no, I was thinking of Mad Dog 2020. Schlitz. Yeah. So it's interesting. So Donna says, I think true Americans are on Biden's side. So let's talk about that a minute. Sarah, you're going to know where I'm going with this. How do you define a patriot? What do you think? It's 4th of July weekend, and a lot of people call themselves patriots. A lot of people across this country with the biggest flags and the biggest, anti Biden is not my president. A lot of those people think they are patriotic. So what does being patriotic mean to you? What does it mean for you to be a patriot? Old Mad Dog. Yes, definitely. Denise says it doesn't mean what it used to. Michelle, all for one and one for all. I like that. That's a good answer. Bull was first alcohol I ever drank. I don't know what Bull is. Boone's Farm. Oh my God, yes, Boone's Farm. Strawberry Hills. Maybe those. Yes, Boone's Farm. I remember that. That might have been what I was thinking of. So what do you guys think? Tell me what being a patriot means to you. It's 4th of July weekend, which I'm boycotting. I boycotted it last year because they took away, they overturned Roe v. Wade, so there's no independence for women in this country. And thanks to the Supreme Court the last couple of days, there's no independence for queer people, LGBTQ. There's no, they're taking away opportunities for people of color who have been disproportionately represented. Wait a minute, underrepresented, not disproportionately, underrepresented in corporate worlds, universities, education throughout history. So they're definitely taking away opportunities. So it's definitely not independence for everybody. So I'm boycotting the 4th of July again. I mean, I have to live the 4th of July. I'm boycotting independence. Oh my God, we got on the Boone's Farm. We got on the alcohol. That's way more fun. Tracy, not using the flag as a weapon. That's what the 4th should mean. Agree. Wild Irish Rose whiskey. I used to love, actually, Wild Irish Rose was a tequila. It was that pink stuff. I remember when I was a bartender, I used to love that. It was really good stuff. Didn't taste like tequila. It wasn't independence for enslaved folks. Exactly. It was not. Oh, good point. Yeah, back in the day, even when they first started, 4th of July. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Patriot, liberty, etc. Not using flag. Patriots support their country and way of life. Hi, Jean. Good to see you. Yeah, but what does that mean? Because Trump supporters who are patriots think that's exactly what they're doing. They're supporting their country and their way of life. So let's dig a little bit deeper. What does patriotism mean? I'm going to tell you, you want to hear what I think it means? I think if you want to make yourself patriotic, being a patriot, being an American, being a citizen of a country is a responsibility. And I think with that title comes a responsibility to know your history, to know your facts, to do your due diligence, to understand how our government works, what's at play, and not just relying on a single source for all of your information. I think it really is a responsibility. I think that's what being a patriot is. I think being a patriot is being responsible for knowing how your country works and for knowing your fellow citizens and for maybe walking in their shoes, because we all have to live in this country together. So it's a responsibility to try to understand your fellow citizens and where they're coming from, which I know many of us have done with Trump supporters, and it gets harder that goes by. But I want to understand, one of the things, I saw this in a comment recently, and it pisses me off every time I see this. A Black woman in comments on my other channel, I did a video about boundaries and why have people just why don't people understand boundaries anymore? And a Black woman said, I'm a Black woman and I understand where you're coming from. And for me as a Black woman on the road, I feel this all the time. I'm overlooked, I'm dismissed, people just come up on me and have no boundaries whatsoever. And and I empathized with her. And somebody wrote to her, you can't blame everything on race. It's not about race. And my reaction was, fuck you. And that is the problem I think we have too often in this country, in a nutshell. We try to take away somebody else's experience that we have never lived. I cannot tell a Black woman it's not about race when I have never lived in her skin. I cannot tell a gay person it's not about being gay or trans when I have never lived in their skin. Period. And I think that too many of us these days try to impose our beliefs on people without putting ourselves in their shoes and trying to at least hear their experience. We want to say there's no such thing as, there's no racism. Oh, we're colorblind. The Supreme Court, we're colorblind. You can't say that if you've never been Black. You can't say that if you've never been an immigrant. You can't say that if you've never been a man walking down the street in a dress. I know, it's not about race. So that's what I think being a patriot is. And so, when asked, what do you think it means? Digging a little bit deeper, when you say that it's about supporting your country, what does that really mean? To me, it means about supporting each other. hearing each other, taking the time to listen to each other. We don't have to agree. I don't have to agree that you need to take a gun into fucking CVS, but if that's what makes you feel better at the end of the day, go for it. Does that make sense? Denise, patriotism is love and loyalty to a country and being ready to defend it against all enemies. But what if one party thinks the other party is the enemy? Carolyn, as a gay woman who's been out for decades, I can attest to what it's like to experience discrimination. I bet. Exactly. I'm sure every single person of color and LGBTQ has experienced discrimination. And for a white person to say it's not about race, you have no right. You have no right. Period. Karen says, totally matching my energy. What is that? You talking to me? And I don't, yeah. I mean, I don't know what that means. I'm angry. I mean, everything that's been going on just in the last few years. Yes, Karen says yes. Yeah. The passion and the energy. I'm agreeing and angry. Yeah. It's a tough place to be for a lot of people. The Supreme Court is an atrocity. It's just disgusting. It's disgusting. It's disgusting that a guy who stole nuclear secrets appointed 3 justices who are going to be there for the rest of their lives. So how many of you think if Trump is indeed convicted of espionage, we need to address whether or not his Supreme Court picks are not valid? What's legitimate? We know, and also we all know the shit he's getting caught, indicted for is the tip of the iceberg. It's the tip of the iceberg of the shit he's actually done, right? We all know that, right? We all know the shit he's getting indicted for is a tiny fraction of the shit he's actually done. Sandra, to me, being a patriot is about love for country and our values as Americans. We are in a situation where one party is an enemy of freedom. I like that. I like a love for our country and our values. That's really good. What are our values? Our values aren't about hating one another, judging one another to the point of like wanting to harm them. And the right to pursue happiness. So I wanted to read someone's how to funnel this, or what can we do? Vote, get involved. So I'm actually, well, I shouldn't say this out loud. I have a lot of ideas, so don't get excited. But part of me is thinking maybe it's time for me to settle down and run for office. I don't know. I'm so passionate about it, and I'm starting to feel like maybe I need to do something to make a difference, and maybe that's it. But at least get involved. At least settle down and get involved in local politics by volunteering. Every year around the elections, I put out stuff to say, this is how you can get involved. You can phone bank, you can volunteer, get people registered to vote, talk to everybody you know. One of the things that I think is really important is to not be silent anymore in the face of this ridiculousness that we're facing. I think that we're at a critical point where we need to speak up. And I know it's painful, and I know it's hard, and I know sometimes we're dealing with people who won't listen, but I think just even planting little seeds, actually I shouldn't say that. I'm kind of being a hypocrite. I was visiting with someone recently face to face who is a family member who is a Trump supporter, and we choose just not to talk about it. So I know that's easier said than done. So I'm being a little bit of a hypocrite here saying, just bring it up. I mean, I know she won't listen. So how can we just, yeah, I think the best thing that we can do is get involved. Just get involved. Voting isn't enough. Run for politics if you can. Run for, the local seats are really, really important right now. The sheriffs and the city councils and all the other local elections are really, really important. I was just reading where I'm at that they're bringing in for sheriffs, deputies. They're bringing in all these new residents. They're not even from here to run as Republicans. And that's a huge red flag to me. Why? All of a sudden, this community has always voted people who are from here, and now all these new people are coming in and they're nominating them for Republican positions. So getting involved as much as you can, even if you can run for office. Definitely. Not only constitutional amendments, I think we need a constitutional convention, which would be extremely difficult. We need a constitutional convention. I think, isn't that what we need to get rid of the electoral college? We need a supermajority of states, I think, to get rid of the electoral college, I think, is what I read. Or I think that would require a constitutional convention. I don't remember. Didn't they do that with George Santos? They probably, yeah, you're probably right. That's probably exactly what they did. So that's what worries me. It's like, who is buying these people and relocating them into these communities and inserting them into local politics, right? Sarah, is that kind of what you're thinking? That's a very excellent point, Sarah. It's beyond discussion. Hate isn't interested in good faith arguments and brainwashing. You can't argue with a cult. You can't, and you're right. It's interesting because the person I'm thinking of, yeah, I don't think it's about hate for her. It's about religious beliefs and a blindness to who Trump really is. And I don't know. I mean, I've known this person all my life, and she's a good person, So it's hard. It's really hard. It's hard to, like, I want to shake her. How can you freaking vote for Trump? Especially the conversations that we have. She knows what a narcissist is, and yet she doesn't see it in Trump. So it's kind of weird. And I think that's where my ideas about religion come in. I see people who are religious, who I know who really are good people, who are just blinded in their save the babies. Trump is gonna save the babies. So I don't know, but I think you're right. I think it is beyond discussion. I agree, Paige. Trump's going to prison, and he's not going to solve, and it's not going to solve our country's problems. He's just a symptom. I totally agree. We are so broken, and if anything, Trump has just exposed how broken we are. And Sarah and I were talking today. Trump goes to prison. DeSantis is way scarier. Way scarier than Trump. DeSantis is and strategic and willfully evil, I think is the way Sarah put it. So yeah, local is very important. Get involved in your local community, local politics in any way you can. Local in the last election, how Trump tried to manipulate local legislatures and legislators, tried to manipulate them to change their ballots in the local communities. And we need more Democrats in local politics. So run for a local political office if you can, if you have the time, no matter how old you are, do it. Just do it. And if not, just find out how you can volunteer. Get people registered to vote, especially if you live in a state where they are implementing voter, help me out, where they're trying to prevent people from voting. What's the word? Where they're putting restrictions and stuff, especially if you live in one of those states where suppression, thank you, voter suppression. If you live in a state that is enacting voter suppression laws, it's extremely important for you to get involved and find out how you can help people who might be it might be a little harder for them to vote. People in rural communities, people of color, or indigenous people, not necessarily people of color, but poor people, indigenous communities are often really difficult. Rural people, poor people can be really difficult for them to vote, maybe depending on what the suppression laws are. So find out how you can get involved and help local communities, help people vote in your local community. I know, Crispy Chris, it's like the Supreme Court judges should be forced to consider it a conflict of interest. I don't understand why it's not. Lead a charge. Is it possible? I'm not sure what that means. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, the gerrymandering too, and big urban centers, some of these red states, they're really reducing the number of polling places. So these inner city places and these inner city people might only have one voting place in the entire city. And that means in many cases, it might mean taking a whole day off or half a day off of work in order to vote, which is going to make it really difficult to vote. So get involved in those places and find out what you can do to make it easier. I don't know if you're allowed to offer rides, but just find out what you can do. Maybe even donate money so people can take off work, and I don't know, get help financially or something like that. It would be great to have a third party. So somebody asked me that earlier. We need more than two parties in this country. Absolutely. But now is not the time. I said this during the 2016. I think it was 2016. Now is not the time. We have there, and I know that people are always going to say now is not the time, but now is definitely not the time. The last thing we need right now is for the vote to be split to allow the Republican back in office. If we allow either DeSantis or Trump back into the White House, it'll be the last election we ever have. How many of you agree with that? That if either DeSantis or Trump gets in office, yes, tell me yes, it'll be the last election we ever have, or at least the last fair election we ever have. We will go, yep, we will go a la Putin, right? A la all the other fascist dictators that have ever been. Yep, exactly. Exactly. They would pass laws to allow them to be president forever. Absolutely. Absolutely. And unfortunately, we've been kind of sleeping, and there are so many crooked MAGA Republicans across the board and in states and everything, and the Supreme Courts, unfortunately, that's a very possible reality. Our checks and balances are failing. The checks and balances our founding fathers put into place are failing. Period. Especially if Trump. Exactly. I don't remember anybody ever saying that about Reagan, that Reagan would be the last president. Reagan, we didn't like Reagan, but he wasn't insane. Yep, you guys all believe it. I agree, the last election we ever have. Yep. Yep. Especially with Trump. Yep. I know. Kathy says if 45 gets back in, this country will spiral even more. I do not understand why he has so many followers. I do. I do. He makes certain people feel superior, and he's brainwashed them. Oh, Sarah was telling me about a really good book about the cult of Trump and about how he uses language. I probably shouldn't even have brought that up because I don't have. Yeah, exactly. Reagan was a moderate in comparison to today's GOP. Yeah. I hope Trump never gets back into office. Oregon has vote by mail, and the right, of course, the right wants to end it. Of course, they want to end it. They want to end it. Yep. Exactly, Dana. Trump gives his followers somebody to kick down on. Exactly. Hi, Terry Newell. So that's always been my theory about people who support Trump. They are people who have not come to terms with their own lot in life. They have always been the type to blame somebody else for everything that has ever gone wrong in their lives, for every failure they've ever had. They are not able to take any personal responsibility, just like Trump, for their own actions, for their own behaviors, their own failures in life. And so here comes Trump and says, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's the liberal, woke, liberal Democrats' fault. It's the uh, immigrants' fault. It's gay people's fault. And it gives, I've said this for a long time, Trump makes people with inferiority complexes feel superior. He really does. And especially because he's such a buffoon, they look at him and they're like, look at how he's acting. Oh my God. They make, as opposed to somebody who's polished and who's educated and brilliant and well spoken like Biden and like Obama, they look at somebody and even their whole war on education and higher education, these people who support Trump have felt less than their whole lives. And so they see Obama in office and they're like, holy shit, what's wrong with me? And Trump came along and said, oh, it's not you, it's everybody else. It's everybody else. You're okay. I'm just a straight talking guy just like you. Human beings that identify by human other labels are obsessed with worshiping a demigod figure. I know. Crazy, isn't it? Jean says, when I worked as a deputy sheriff, I observed that it was never the criminal's fault. Oh my God. My brother framed me. The breathalyzer was broken. This is a comment. Exactly. Completely on point. That's why every time a news story says, Republican accused of sexual misconduct, but he denies it. Trump accused of rape, but he denies it. Have you ever heard a criminal say, oh yeah, you know what, I did it and I'm so sorry? Never. They always blame someone else. Oh, she's lying. Oh, she just wants the publicity. Oh, she just wants the attention. Yeah, they never ever take responsibility for their own actions. And I've been thinking about this lately a lot. How many of them do you think are domestic abusers? I wonder how many Trump supporters or rapists. I mean, he's a rapist. Look how he talks about his own daughter. He's a sexual assaulter. He's a rapist. He's disgusting and despicable. 90%. I know, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking most of them are probably violent assaulters and probably beat their wives, their girlfriends, their children. They've probably done sexual violence. Predator Trump. Yep. And maybe that's another thing too. They look at Trump and it also helps them justify their own disgusting violent behavior. They're like, oh, look at the president even rapes people. The president even rapes women, so I'm not so bad. I'm in good company. Isn't that disgusting? It emboldens them. Absolutely. I know. Well, hopefully I don't have grandkids, but hopefully everybody else's grandkids are looking at this and saying, holy shit, you guys really made a mess. And we're going to fix it. A lot of them. One guy said, yeah, I was stupid. One guy. Exactly. One guy. That's funny. Exactly. I know, too bad Obama can't run again. I know, but we don't want to be like them. It's time for new blood. I mean, as much as I would love to see somebody younger run, Biden's age doesn't really bother me that much at this point because he has a track record. He's done a great job. I really do think he's done a great job with the shit show he was left. And he has a proven track record of beating Trump. Why mess with that? Somebody earlier Thank you, Richard. There is no new blood. Katie Porter, AOC, actually even Gavin Newsom. I think Gavin Newsom is gearing up to run in 28. He's been doing a lot of very public policy, big, huge policy things, and he's been interviewing, he's been doing a lot of social media. I think Gavin Newsom is going to run, and I would love to see Katie Porter. I know AOC says she has no interest, but I would love to see her run. I do think we need Biden for a second term. And I know, exactly. 45 is only 3 years younger, and everybody's raising hell about Biden's age. Yeah, Carolyn says about Gavin Newsom and Porter. Yeah, Gavin Newsom was the first, was he governor at the time or mayor? I think he was mayor. Was he mayor of San Francisco? He was the first one to legalize gay marriage, right? In San Francisco as mayor. He was, I remember, man, that was national news. It was huge. He was mayor of San Francisco. That's right. First one ever to legalize. And I remember, I think I was living in the Bay Area. I don't think I was living in San Francisco. And, I remember the pictures of City Hall and everybody rushing to City Hall to get married. We were the first, I could say we, even though I wasn't living in San Francisco probably. I don't think I was. I only lived in San Francisco until like 90, I think. So I think it was before that. You were there, Jean? Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. I don't think Biden is going downhill. I disagree. I mean, does he stumble a little bit in his words? Sure. But I don't really care so much about how he talks as how he thinks. And so far, what I'm seeing in strategy and planning and action, Dark Brandon, man, is kicking ass. He came right out today and said, fuck you, Supreme Court. We're going to go down a different road and we're going to forgive some student loans. So, people really like to focus on that he tripped over some stupid prop on a stage that anybody could have tripped over, that he stumbles on his words, but we all know he had a history of stuttering, and I'm sure that still comes up sometimes. So I think intellectually, I don't know. I'm not seeing anything. You've seen me. I'm 55 years old. I lose words when I speak. We all do as we get older. So I'm not as concerned about his cognitive see, and I'm only 55. I'm not as worried about his cognitive function. I don't see confusion in his eyes. Exactly, Amanda. He's got a stutter that he works hard to overcome. That is not a sign of diminished capacity. I know, Paige. Actually, I saw that in California, and I think it was Massachusetts or New York, or two big states voted down affirmative action years and years and years ago. And I was actually very surprised to learn that. I did not know that. Massachusetts was the first state to legalize gay marriage. Gene used to see him in City Hall. Yeah, back in the day, that was a long time ago. My grandchildren, the adults that vote or woke, my granddaughter is 9, is a feminist. I'm not worried about the grandchildren, but your granddaughter, she's a rock and roll star. She's a rock star. She's awesome. Biden will find a way. I agree. It's Trump's cognition that we need to worry about. I agree. Well, I'm glad that graduation rate for people of color has increased, but I don't think, and I think that's a result of affirmative action. I think that's a result. So here's something interesting I heard tonight when I was listening to the news about this. So, well, first of all, let's clear up what affirmative action is and what affirmative action isn't. There's this whole propaganda machine that wants you to believe that affirmative action is giving spots to black women, people of color, and women, and I've also been seeing a lot of that, white women have benefited more from affirmative action than any other demographic group. White women have benefited more from affirmative action than any other demographic group. I didn't verify that, but it makes sense, okay? I believe that. And affirmative action was put in place because big, huge, not big, colleges were majority white men. And so they said, okay, well, we want more diversity in our colleges. And I know from experience, when you are in a diverse environment, you learn more. You learn, it's more than about what you learn in the classroom. It's about learning about your fellow human beings, your fellow citizens. And so there's nothing wrong with wanting to diversify a campus. And because we have such a history of racial discrimination and sexism in this country, so just let's try to put some laws in place to help even that playing field a little bit. And a lot of the white men were getting in legacy admissions. Jared Kushner, I think it was. No, yeah, it was Jared Kushner and Brett Kavanaugh. They got in on legacy. They didn't get in on merit. It's not a meritocracy. A lot of these white men are getting in because their rich fathers donate money. So that's not fair either. So in order to create more diverse environments in these situations, in schools especially, they said, okay, let's do some affirmative action, which means if you have two candidates who are equally qualified, they both have equal qualifications, equal grades, equal histories of being involved or whatever college admissions look for. If you have two candidates who are equal, part of the time, let's choose a black candidate. Let's choose a woman. Let's choose a Latino. That's all it means. Earlier, if black people can only get into based on this color of their skin, if they're not good enough or qualified enough, that's not what it's about. Because in the history of this country, equally qualified black women, black candidates, female candidates, and Latino candidates, equally qualified, weren't even considered. And that's why the college campuses were all white men. Now affirmative action just says, okay, let's mix things up a little bit. Let's just mix things up a little bit. Let's make these campuses more diverse. And it worked. More people of color, more women. Actually, I think women are outnumbering men now in college graduation. And maybe that's part of the reason they've gotten rid of this. The benefit has always been given to white men. Always. White men were given opportunities based on only the color of their skin and their gender. Women weren't allowed to enroll in law school in like the 50s and 60s or whatever. To this day, studies have shown when you give two resumes that are exactly the same to a recruiter and one has a black name, the more white sounding name is always chosen. You can't say that we have reached racial justice when things like that are happening. It's stupid. We are not colorblind. It's a fantasy. Michelle Obama. Have you read Becoming? Michelle Obama's memoir? Oh man, that poor woman, they went through hell. The insults, the disgusting things that she went through. Her book is really good if you haven't read it. She has no desire, and I don't blame her one bit. Oh, I'm reading all kinds of shit today about how Kamala Harris is the worst VP in history. Democrats think she's the worst VP in history. Well, gee, you think it has anything to do with racism and sexism? Especially, racism and sexism against black women especially. Do you think it might have something to do with that? Yeah, it does. Because what the hell has she done that's so bad? She's been doing some pretty good things. All right. All right. So, Michelle Obama will never run. Exactly. Crispy, these tree frogs are wonderful sounding here. Oh, where? Where you are? I don't have tree frogs. I have boats and birds. We have been awoke. Exactly. Sarah, just saw a reel about women won about women about how women won a sporting event or got second place. They split up sports by gender. It didn't used to be like that. Oh my God. Really? You know, I've been thinking about that a lot lately with the whole trans athlete hysteria that's going on. And that's interesting. I did not know that. And I was thinking that. Why do we split up sports by gender? Maybe we shouldn't be splitting sports up by gender, but by ability. To take away this whole hysteria about trans people in sports and whether or not it's fair. Why don't we just do things differently? Why? It's interesting. It makes sense. I never thought about that and I never researched it. How women won a sporting event or got second place, and so they split it by gender because they were terrified that women might beat the men. Wow. Wow. And now they're using trans women just as another weapon, saying they care about women's sports. Oh, women have worked so hard and blah, and that's not what it's about. Wow. Is Melissa here? Hi, Melissa. Good to see you. Hi. Hello. All right. How we doing here? We have 81 people on. I'm kind of like, wow, 81 people on my As I See It. And I have 59 thumbs up. Can we get some more thumbs up? Can we get some more thumbs up? We have 59 thumbs up, 78 people watching. So you can just hit that. We got 60 thumbs up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have I heard anything at all about trans men in sports? Yeah, actually, I bring again. There we go. So I can't remember. I think I tweeted it. Trans man won was it wrestling or no, it wasn't wrestling. Does anybody know? It was going around. Didn't hear anything. Hi, Tammy. Good to see ya. So, trans man won in a male contest, a sport. I can't remember what it was, which completely obliterates all of this trans women shouldn't be able to compete in women's sports. It kind of sheds a little bit of a different light on that. If a trans man won in a CIS male sports. Kind of interesting, huh? So Paige says women just don't have the women don't have the lung capacity, length of legs to compete against men one. But what Sarah just said is that she saw a reel where women were competing against men and winning, and that's why they split them into two sports, upping the men. They didn't want women. They think women are the weaker sex. Women are the one who freaking push out babies. How can they say that women are the weaker sex? Have you guys seen the videos going around about putting the PMS cramp simulator on men? They whine like little freaking kittens. And they think they call us the weaker sex. Can you imagine a pregnant man? Oh my fucking God. Oh my God. Can you imagine really a pregnant man? Oh, Terry, thank you. Oh, we've got 74 thumbs up, 104 watching. So keep the thumbs up going. All right. Carolyn says she was the first little girl to play a little league team in childhood and took a lot of crap from the little boys. I'm sure you did. And kudos to you. Congratulations. That's awesome. Men getting waxed. Funniest videos ever. Oh my God, I bet. Carolyn said, my father told me to ignore all and play to the best of my ability. That's great. Wow. That's awesome. Compare stats of pro soccer players. Women are way better. Interesting. Interesting. Wow. There are women who are taller than men. Yep, that's very true. Bad as they are with a cold, I couldn't deal with a pregnant man. No, no, no. No offense, men. We love you. We love our good men who are here. but but can you imagine yourself pregnant? I can't even imagine me pregnant. That's just not something I ever wanted to do either. So I'm not, uh uh judging. Crispy, I feel old and I'm closer to 60 than 50. Michelle, Facebook jail 30 days. Women are stronger than men was considered hate speech. What? No. No, really? That's ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's like, what's his name there? Elon Musk saying that CIS is a slur. Calling somebody CIS male or female is a slur and banned on Twitter. Yeah. Wow, Terry used to compete in archery and no one ever beat her. Michelle, that's funny. That is funny. That is so funny. Yep, CIS now a slur. Yep, 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 yep. You can say, I don't know, there was a whole bunch of other things they did. You can say a lot of other things that are real slurs, but you can't say CIS. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Michelle, what is CIS? CIS is I don't know what it stands for, cisgender, which is a medical scientific term for a person who is the same, who is, what is it? It's cisgender. That means the gender you were born with. So I'm cisgender female. I identify as female. I was born anatomically female. So I'm a cisgender female. Does that make sense? Suzanne, you found your thumb. Thank you. Oh, it's just below my screen. There's the thumbs up and the thumbs down. So you just have to give the... All right. You identify with the gender you were assigned at birth. Oh, okay. So it actually means you identify with the gender. CIS. You actually identify with the gender you were born with. That makes sense. Okay. Yes. That's right. Because a trans person was born female, but they're not CIS. So yes, Sarah nailed it. CIS means you identify with the gender you were born with. So I'm a CIS female because I identify as a female. I was born anatomically female. But if I was born anatomically female, but I identify more as a man, I would be transgender, I guess, and not CIS. Not cisgender. Carolyn, once an older cousin of mine said to me, "You hate men because you're gay." And my response is that's ridiculous. I love men. My dad was a man, just not a romantic path for me. A lot of my closest friends. I get called a man-hater all the time. It's funny. I finally realized, like, I get called a man-hater in a large part because I talk about the crimes men commit against women and largely against me. You know, you guys all know me by now. You know that I'm a survivor a couple times over, you know, and so I talk about that. I talk about men commit crimes. Men commit 99% of sexual assaults against women. And about going to an auto repair shop and getting ripped off by men. And I talk about men scaring me on the highway of tears and trying to get me into a car. And so that makes me a man hater. And I always just think that that's just so ludicrous that the women who talk about what men do are called man haters, but they never call men women haters, even though men commit 99% of this violent crimes against women. How often do you hear a man called a woman hater, a misogynist? We call them misogynists a lot, so I guess we do say that a lot, but they really are misogynists. I mean, they really like display misogynist behavior. All I do is talk about the crimes of men. I'm not out there, I don't know, maybe I kind of am. Hold on a second. Maybe there's actually a word for a man hater that's the equivalent of misogynist. I can't remember what it is. But anyway, yes, Sally, man hater equals man enabler. Exactly. Misandry. God, Sarah, you're so smart. Yes, misandry. I don't think I'm saying it wrong. Misandry. Yes, you're right. You always have all these you always have all the answers I don't have. I love it. All right. You are in no way a man hater. I love men because of my very especially weird husband. I know. And I love men too. I just don't love idiot men. I don't love misogynist men. Yeah, maybe that's it. The people who call me a man hater are the ones that are worthy of hate. The ones who call me a man hater are the ones, they're probably the very men I'm talking about. The abusers, the sexual assaulters, the misogynists, the men who love to objectify women and only see them as sexual vessels. Those are the ones who call me a man hater. And the ones who get mad that I don't do the traditional what a woman is supposed to look and act like. I'm a man hater. Yeah, exactly, Michelle. We don't hate men. We're cautious and educated. Yep. Jacqueline, if a woman was doing what Trump did, you would talk about them also, but don't see that often. Very true. If anybody, if anybody acted like Trump, I sure as hell wouldn't be hanging Biden flags if Biden did the shit Trump did. Excuse me. No way. I would never support a candidate who has done half the shit Trump has done. Close enough. Nice. The men in our lives we absolutely love. Yes. I love your men too. Both of you. You've got amazing men. You both do. Really good men. Which is nice, and there's a lot of really good men here in my audience, Richard and Dave, and that I feel like I know over the years. I've gotten to know you guys through comments. I've met Richard in person, so I'm really fortunate that for all the ignorant men that come here just to try to prove a point, I have a lot of really wonderful rich Ralph's not here. Ralph is love Ralph. So I've got a lot of amazing men in my audience, and I feel really honored. And I also really have a lot of respect for the men who are in my audience, because they make it very clear just by being here that they aren't one of those men, because they can hear me and they can allow me to be me, and they can hear my stories and hear me talk and not take it personally because they aren't one of them. It's the men who come here and get upset who are one of them, or they wouldn't be getting upset. Does that make sense? So I feel really grateful and really honored that I have so many good men and women too, the cream of the crop. I always say that I've got the best audience on YouTube, and I really do believe that. Really intelligent, critical thinking, and supportive and kind and loving and understanding and empathetic, and I really do just have a really great audience. Oh my goodness, the humidity is hitting me. Yes. Exactly, princess. One guilty man would assume I'm talking about them. Always, always. Or the narcissist. A lot of those too. The narcissists who always assume everything is about them. There's definitely some of those. Tracy, it's simple, Carolyn. We just want to live in a world that's fair and just, not ruled by greed and power. Touche. Nailed it. Nailed it. And being silent is not the way to get there. You know, a lot of people would wish that we would just shut up. A lot of people just wish I would shut up. And that's funny. That's one thing. The more people try to quiet me, the louder I've gotten over the years. And you guys have helped me find my public voice and just be more fearless about speaking about what matters. And you know, I'm lucky enough to have a platform to be able to speak about the things that are important to me. And if I can help one person maybe think about things a little differently, then I feel like I've succeeded. And you guys have all given me that. So, oh my God, we would be great together. We should. We would be so, we were so good together in that one video that we did. We should talk about that. I like that. You know, I'm talking to you, Sarah, right? We were so good together in that one interview. That's definitely something we're thinking about. Because I love how you think. I love how you. We'll have to talk more about this offline, but I love how you think, and I love how you like. You might know more about politics than I do, which is rare for me to find. You know, I mean, so that might be a lot of fun. That might be a lot of fun. All right. I'm going to come up with ideas. Okay. Oh my God. That would be so fun. I've had ideas. I was thinking about my doing podcasts a couple of years ago, and I had some ideas I was running by some of my friends, but oh, okay, cool. Suzanne says she's hate Twitter. You know what? I hate Twitter. It brings out the worst in me. I think it brings out the worst in everybody. It brings out the worst in me. I go on there and it just brings out the rage and the anger and the disgust, and I join right in. It really, I'm actually starting to realize I don't like who I am on Twitter, and I'm thinking I really need to stop. I rage tweet a lot, and I feel like I'm not adding anything valuable. I'm just contributing to the garbage. So I totally get that. I totally get it. All right, Sally's hitting the wall. She's got to go lay down. Richard, Dave, Ralph. So bye, Sally. Trigger. Sarah's like, I'm triggered every second I'm on Twitter. Same here. I know. Same here. It's yeah. It's not good. And I'm just adding more chaos and gross, toxic shit to the mess. Yeah. Good night. Good night, Barbara. Thank you so much for being here. I do have a fan, but I turned it off because I was afraid it might disrupt my sound. But I have a fan. I sleep with it every night. It blows on me. It really, really helps. But yeah, I turned off the fan. You can see I'm sweating. So I'm gonna have to actually, I could just turn it on. Hold on a second. Let's see if it's disruptive. Yay! Oh, that feels so much better. And I'm plugged in so I can run it as much. Oh, yeah. Boy, it got really humid there for a second. All right. Good night, Barbara. I think I'm hitting a wall here pretty soon, too. Carolyn, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, Jacqueline left Twitter because I was just becoming mean. Totally can relate. I mean, when I'm sending politicians fuck you tweets, you know, I'm just like, you know, I should just go. And I've been trying to wean myself off. I take breaks from it here and there, but I really, you know what my therapist told me a couple of years ago, since I've been living in an RV, that my world has gotten really small, and there's a lot of truth in that. And I go to Twitter for stimulation, and I need to find healthier ways to to get stimulation and to get information. And so I get it. I get it. Oh, you guys barely hear it. Okay, good. You're welcome, Carolyn. All right, I think I'm going to sign off too. It's been an hour, almost an hour and a half. It's almost 9:30 here. So way different when I'm on the West Coast and it's only 6:30. And my voice, I'm losing my voice a little bit here too. So I don't know if I'm going to be doing any meetups in New York. I don't know. If I do, good night, Sarah. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much for being here. Jean, thank you for being here. Jacqueline. So if I do decide to do any meetups, I will let you know. I don't really know what plans are right now. Thank you, Deborah, for being here. Hi, Sandra. Thank you. So long. It's always nice to get together. Yes, it is. Good night, all. So thank you all so much for being here. And did you enjoy this? Was this good? Is this nice to kind of have a venue to kind of talk about things? Is it therapeutic in any way to kind of have a community to talk about these things? Maybe slightly healthier than Twitter, even though I still use the F-bomb quite a bit. Yeah, you enjoy these? Okay, I enjoy them too. You know, this helps give me some intellectual stimulation as well, even though it's not that much of a back and forth because, you know, it's you guys are just chatting. But hi, Richard. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our moderators, Richard, Paige, Carol. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And hopefully we didn't have to do any moderating. I feel like this channel's and all the trolls that have been so you all do really enjoy them. All right, love the different POVs, but safe. Yes. And Dave, thank you for being here. Denise, Dave. All right, I'm gonna sign off. You know what, I think the smoke is affecting my throat too. I have a sore throat right now, so I think it's a lot of talking and yelling and smoke. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate all you guys so much. And stay tuned for more. Stay healthy, stay safe, and you know, try to find ways to take care of yourself because things really are stressful for all of us right now. So, all right. Thank you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.